So, if I look like I just got up, rolled out of bed, and turned this camera on, it's because I have. Right now, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm still wearing my pajamas. But I figure that since I'm already 2 weeks since I made my last video, it was probably for the best for me to just get this video done before it turned into 3 weeks. So, hello everyone. Welcome to another edition of the EgoWorks Artist Studio Vlog. This is episode 10 of this series. Not too bad of a milestone. Granted, I was expecting to reach episode 10 a little bit sooner, but that would have required me to have kept my weekly schedule, which, especially for these last 2 weeks, did not happen. So, but we'll take it. We'll take it. So, here we are at episode 10. And if you are new here, hello. My name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I am known for my furry fantasy adventure comic, Tall Tales, and my medieval fantasy drama, Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which is on pre-launch on Kickstarter right now for issue 10 of this 16-issue series. So if you're seeing this for the first time, head on over to Kickstarter and click that notify me button so you get notified when the campaign for issue 10 goes live sometime in April. For those of you, especially if you're new here, if you hear any strange noises in the background, it is because I share my office space with an African gray parrot and two parakeets. They do whatever they want, especially when I hit record. The point of these vlogs is a way for me to keep track of all the artwork that I have been doing for the previous week, or in this case, the previous 2 weeks. The first piece I got done was this orc piece that I had started several weeks ago. Originally, it was an idea that I was kind of percolating for Monsterotica, which is a monster smut book convention. In the end, I took my time with it because even though I did my wolf and unicorn mascots, which I did enjoy, I wasn't really feeling doing these kind of monster trope characters. And, I decided it's like, you know what, let me just put this aside. And then if I feel like getting it done, I'll get it done. So the Monsterotica Discord did have some interest in it. So I am taking little trading cards with this piece on it to Monsterotica to trade / give away, kind of like gauge the actual interest for it. I'm not sure if I want to complete the rest of the series. I was still trying to figure out what other monsters / cryptids to do. I know Mothman is big in the genre. Demon guys, dragon guys. I'm not sure if I want to continue. It just feels like a little too much of a departure of what I intended for the original male mascots. But we'll see. We'll see. In the end, it's like what I'm just going to do is it's like, look, if I feel like doing something, I'll do it. But I am not going to go out of my way. I think in the end, that's probably the best angle to take. The other piece that I finished, this is a crossover piece for Ego Raven and Sam Vera's Duty Alien in My Toilet comic. He's launching his campaign in April, as am I. And I thought it would be funny to have like some kind of just like crossover piece just to show off online when both our campaigns are live. I just felt like doing that. I mean, I do have another piece sketched out for him specifically. So I'm just going to show it here, even though it's technically unfinished. It's a tarot card style piece with his character, Duty and Herman, the Chihuahua. What I want to do with this one is I want to kind of give it like a kind of like a marker / painterly style with it. So I am going to finish this piece traditionally, but this one is specifically for his 20th anniversary of There's an Alien in My Toilet comic. This one I'm going to like try to start working on this week, because I'm also working on the 4 sketch covers that I owe for the Eagle Raven 9 campaign. So that's in the process right now. I'm going to be inking them in today after I'm done with this video. And I also have the last commission piece for the House of Bob campaign. That one is also penciled out. I just have to ink it, and then hopefully this week I can get all the coloring done and not only close out officially Eagle Raven issue 9, but also the House of Bob campaign. So I could just finally put a rest on those projects and just move on to the next thing. I do have like a standard commission after this, but the campaign ones are the more important right now. So that's what we're going to be trying to accomplish this week. So in the Eagle Raven 10 front, I did do more pages for Eagle Raven 10. I am currently 9 pages away from finishing it. I am gunning to finish this issue by the first week of April. I kind of think I can do that. I did, like I said, I did finish, I think, like 5 pages these past 2 weeks, but they are only in the inks and shading portion. I still have to do the flats for them, but I decided that since this issue for some reason is taking me a little too long than it should, I figured that I just power through the inking phase especially and get these pages done, because putting in the flats is not that big of a deal. The shading is really not that big of a deal. The toughest part of doing these pages is the inking, because usually that requires me to correct the pencils a bit and then kind of fuss with it a bit and then ink on top of it. So because this project has been taking me much longer than it should have, I mean, really, I was expecting to have this done last month, but that wasn't happening. So if I want to get this done by my campaign launch, I'm just going to have to power through the hardest part of it, which is inking, and then probably spend a weekend just dropping in the flats just to get it done. So as you can see on the screen right now, this is the thumbnails for what I still have left to do in the issue. The green pages are the ones that I finished. Kinda. Maybe I might not have time to get a proof done before the campaign starts, but I want it done by the time I press that go live button. Much preferred to have finished this last month, because the second I finish this issue, I have to go straight into issue 11. And I would have preferred to have had like some kind of rest period before I did that. So, but that's what it is. So, no rest for the wicked, as the saying goes. Another thing that I had been going back and forth about is the idea of conventions. I did apply to Anime NYC for their artist alley, but the more I think about it, the more I feel like I made a mistake. I don't remember if it's lotteried and then juried or whether it's just straight up juried. They're going to announce that, I think, like around April 14th. But I think that if I get in, I am going to pass. I just, in the end, kind of decided maybe this is not the right trajectory I should be taking at this point. So I've been watching these Artist Alley vlogs, these women who do mostly anime conventions. And I was listening to Mulcana, and she does her own Artist Alley podcast where she talks to all these different artists, what they do in Artist Alley, their strategies, and all that stuff. It's very informative if you're looking to do that kind of thing. And there was a couple of things that really stood out for me, especially when I'm listening to so many of them back to back while I'm working. And there was two things. There was two things that stood out for me. And one of them especially is what's making me kind of rethink my whole convention thing. Most of these women are in either their mid 20s or early 30s. A lot of them had regular jobs. If you're not familiar with the concept of vending at an artist alley, it's an endeavor. I mean, it requires a lot of logistics, having to take so much merchandise and material and display. It's a whole thing, especially when a lot of these women are vending by themselves. It can be daunting. Two of them in a row outright said, I don't want to be doing this in my 50s. Without really getting into specifics, I felt that. And it really made me rethink at that moment what I was doing. And that's when I was kind of like really not regretting, but second guessing my whole Anime NYC application. And I actually was thinking of canceling my table at Baltimore Comic Con. But honestly, I don't really see myself doing more conventions now that it's like I really, really think about it. What I realized is that I like the preparation. I like the DIY aspect of trying to like figure out what my table's going to look like and setting it up and trying to put it together and making banners. And I mean, I even bought a table runner and 2 new banners. Luckily, they weren't that expensive. The only reason I got them was because they were relatively inexpensive. So it's not like I was spending a lot of money, on these things. But I realized that it's like, you know what? I like the concept of preparing for a convention. I don't know, maybe I have like this kind of like weird nostalgia from when we were much younger, and like there was a time period where we were doing like a convention like every other week. I mean, there would be some seasons where every weekend we were at a show. So maybe in the end, this was just some kind of weird nostalgia that I was indulging in. And I know for a fact that what usually happens is that I'm all gung ho for the show. I love setting up. I love setting up my table. And then the second the doors open, I want to go home. The ROI on my effort is much better spent at home doing Kickstarters than physically being at a convention. Now, Monsterotica might be something different because, like I said, it is a book convention. So I'm going in blind as to what I expect. And also the thing about Monsterotica, where as like anime conventions especially is a much, much younger crowd, especially attending. The artists in the artist alley, they're all either in their mid 20s or early 30s. Monsterotica book conventions, I think in general, caters to an older demographic, an older female demographic that I might fit into better more. But I don't know. I did speak about this on a previous video about how there's a certain type of cover cred that I don't have. That's probably going to kind of keep me out of these conventions as a vendor. The more I kind of think about it, the more I'm kind of like wondering, should I mean, it's like, really, do I even care that much? It's like, do I just want to go to these conventions, have a good time, buy some books and go home? I mean, is that really what I wanted to do? Maybe that's what I really wanted to do. Do I really want to vend at these things and turn everything into a goddamn job? Jose has this thing, the mistake that some professionals do or some creators do is that they never remained fans. And I'm kind of wondering if maybe that's the point that I'm at, is that maybe I just need to be a fan for a change, as opposed to always trying to monetize every aspect of what I'm doing, you know. But then again, we do live in a capitalist hellscape, and you know, the thought process is commiserate with that. The other thing that's really like making me change my mind on this is the cost. When I started off doing conventions back in the day, you could get an artist alley table for free. It was either for free or maybe you just pay $50 to get an artist alley table. So it was very easy to get into conventions, especially as beginner creators. You know, we were able to like get these tables and kind of establish our sea legs. It was very expected that Artist Alley was where you found the amateurs, especially. Well, and then like all the professional artists were the main draws of the convention. So they were on the main floor. When you were in Artist Alley, you were in Artist Alley with people who were just like you or on the same level. You know, you all paid your $50 or you got the table for free. You know, you put your stuff on the table and you get to gauge how the audience reacted to it, right? Because, yeah, it allowed beginner artists to kind of see if this was something that they wanted to do at a very low cost. You know, it had a very low barrier to entry. But as conventions became more and more commercialized, and they realized that they could bring in celebrities, media celebrities, to be the draws instead of the comic book artists, the professionals, there came this time where professional comic book artists began to get pushed into the artist alley instead. By then, though, the prices were much higher than $50. Let's just say that. I don't quite remember what the prices were we were paying at those beginning New York Comic Cons, but it did get to a point where the professionals and the amateurs were mixing. Now, all of a sudden, it's like we were sitting next to people who work professionally at Marvel. You know, and it was like, it was still okay. The tables were a little bit more expensive, but we did, you know, still get to be in one of the largest comic book conventions in New York. So, you know, we still had that opportunity. I remember, well, it was long ago enough that I had to call to get to reserve an artist alley table. That's now everything's done online. Back then you had to call to reserve. And I remember calling and I go, yeah, I'd like to get an artist alley table for New York Comic Con. And the guy outright said, it's like, well, you know, I'd love to give you a table, but I'm not going to, because if somebody famous wants a table, I don't want to have that table wasted on you. So I go, oh, okay. Well, thanks for telling me. I've never tried getting a table at New York Comic Con again. Later on, I have filled out the applications for Artist Alley when they open. Now, mind you, by this point, the tables were around like $300. And I've never gotten accepted into Artist Alley. And I don't think I ever will. Because now Artist Alley at New York Comic Con is all the domain of professional artists. You would need professional credits to get into Artist Alley. They were more than happy to sell me a $2,000 booth, though. You know, and it's like, no. Unfortunately, a lot of shows are like this now. You have to be coming out of the gate with professional merchandise. But now it's like you can get everything so easily manufactured. So, what that has done is that it has raised the standard of what people expect in Artist Alley. They want something that looks professional, that can actually be mistaken for official merchandise. And if you're not doing that as a beginner artist, you're going to be in for a hard time. And honestly, it's like, I think that is actually pretty unfair. It's kind of like the equivalent of why is it that starting jobs requires 5 years of experience? It's like that's not a level, an entry level job. There's no entry level position in conventions anymore. You have to be coming out of the gate looking professional, looking like you've been doing this for 10 years. The days of coming in and putting your zine on a tablecloth you bought at Party City is long gone. People want to see these Jenga towers of fire cubicles just absolutely covered from floor to ceiling with keychains and stickers and looking like I thought artist alleys were looking kind of like flea markets before. Now it's kind of really looking like that. You go in and everybody has like these mini prison towers on their tables, and I find that and I found that description funny because that's what one of the people on the podcast had said, that it's like that sometimes the like all you can see, you see these towers of merch, and then all you see is this like little prison window where the artist sticks their head out. It's like, oh, which thing do you want? It's like, oh, just pay here. Just the hand. It's just, yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And unfortunately, I have seen amateur artists on YouTube flailing at trying to imitate this mode of operation, and it's like, and they're, like I said, they're just flailing and they don't understand. It's like, I don't get it. It's like, I'm getting this stuff manufactured, but I just can't seem to get any traction. And the problem is, most of the time, is that's because you're an amateur pretending to be professional, to be a small business owner, when that's not what you are. And you need to kind of like crawl through the ranks to understand what is it that you need to do to build up to that type of professionalism. And, when you're just fresh out of school and you just started drawing during COVID, you're not going to have the skill set. You literally have now, people starting clothing lines in Artist Alley. And it's like, what is this? It's like, you know what? I really do kind of miss the amateurs. I really do miss the people who dropped zines on their table and called it a day. But what happens is that because the cost of doing conventions is so expensive now, nobody wants to spend the time to work on a project that will not bring in the money to pay for that table. So instead, they're all doing fan art, keychains, and prints and all this stuff. And there just comes a point where it's like, okay, this Artist Alley has 100 artists, and they're all doing Genshin Impact keychains. And it's like, look, I don't even know what the heck Genshin Impact is. I have no idea what that is, but they're all doing it. There was an incident that happened at Anime X where these editors from a major manga publication came to Anime X, and they were like going, where are all the manga people? Where are all the creators making manga, making doujinshi, making comics? It's like, we're just coming here and all we're seeing is Genshin Impact keychains. What is this? People actually got mad at them. How dare you? We have to sell Genshin Impact keychains in order to make table at conventions because they're so expensive. Nobody has the time or the money to make their own self-indulgent comics that may or may not sell at an artist alley. How dare you? So of course, the more I listen to these podcasts, the more I'm like going, I think what it is that I really am trying to chase a nostalgia that doesn't exist now. And you know what? I'm heading in the wrong direction. I really am. It's like, unfortunately, the things that I have to do is probably more online than in the physical space, because in the physical space the audience has changed so much. Nobody is really curious about unknown things anymore. Like, if they see a comic they've never heard of, the curiosity is just not there. It's like, well, I don't recognize this, so I'm not going to bother with it. So it's like, you know what? Maybe instead of going through the effort and trying to fight through that attitude, just kind of like, you know what? I outgrew this. I just don't want to do that anymore. Maybe in the end, like, conventions really are something for the youths. Like anime conventions, comic book conventions. It's like, I don't know. Maybe just in the end, it's like, I really am getting too old for that shit. If you're a beginner, the convention scene is not friendly to you. And I guess once you get to my age, the convention scene is not friendly to you. I don't know. That's kind of like where I'm at right now. So thank you so much for listening to me ramble. You could have watched anything else, but you clicked on this video, and I thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. If you want to learn more about me and my artwork and my upcoming campaigns, you can head on over to my website at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS. You can find links to all of my galleries and social media sites. Ego Raven issue 10 is on pre-launch on Kickstarter. Like I said, I am looking to launch this in April. And also, you can read Ego Raven for free online on Webtoons, along with Tall Tales. Ego Raven updates every Tuesday on Webtoons, and Tall Tales updates every Thursday. So thank you so much again for joining me this early in the morning, and I'll see you next time.